Welcome to another episode of the TiVo Show. On the last episode, I drove the Porsche Cayman S, which is hands down one of the best sports cars on sale today. However, it does have a very serious and very British rival. And no, it's not an Aston Martin. This is the Jaguar F-Type Coupe, the long-awaited successor to the legendary E-Type, and the latest in an already epic market of British sports cars. Right off the bat, is that not one of the most epic sounding cars you have ever heard? And that's courtesy of the center-mounted twin exhausts, which look fantastic. And speaking of looking fantastic, I said the Porsche Cayman was beautiful, but it has absolutely nothing on this car. No offense to that car, but this has to be the most beautiful car on sale. I mean, if you look at everything from the headlight detail, the front intakes, to that awesome swooping rear end and those beautiful muscly side arches, it's absolutely incredible. They've done an amazing job, especially since it was started out as a convertible. But I think, honestly, in my opinion, that the Coupe just looks that much more epic. Now, the engines available in the F-Type Coupe are a supercharged V6, V6S, and V8R. The one I have here today is the base V6, which still produces an awesome 340 horsepower and puts it to the rear wheels, as all sports cars should, through Jag's 8-speed quick-shift gearbox, which is actually surprisingly responsive considering it's not a double-clutch system. Handling-wise, it's actually pretty sharp. I mean, you can feel that there is a tiny bit of body roll in the corners, but the very sharp and direct steering makes up for it. It's still very fun in the corners. I mean, it is rear-wheel drive, so it gets a tiny bit tail-happy if you push it over the limits, especially if you throw it in dynamic mode, like right here, and everything becomes a lot more firmer and sharper, and everything goes red on the dash. It's very fun. I really like that about it. Throttle response is also very good. It feels like, compared to the Cayman I drove last episode at least, there's a tiny bit lacking, but it's still very responsive, and it's still very fun on country roads. As with the brakes are actually very sharp. They're a little grabby, if I had one complaint about them, but overall they're very, very good, and they get a little more grabby as you put it in dynamic mode. Performance-wise, though, overall it handles very nicely, minus that body roll I mentioned earlier, but it's not something you're really going to notice unless you're pushing hard on a track, I'd imagine. But if you were to compare it to the Cayman S I had on the last episode, which might be a little unfair because remember that is the Cayman S and it is mid-engine, so it might be a better matchup for the V6S Jag. But remember, this does have a little more power than the Cayman S with 340 horsepower, but it doesn't deliver it quite as nicely, and I bet it's probably down to the weight. This is a heavier car for sure. It's a bigger car. It feels quite big to drive on the roads, only in tight spaces, like when you're parking or driving in the city. But out in the country, it feels pretty nice. I mean, in some tight lanes, it can get a little edgy when there's, say, a truck coming at you. But I don't really have a complaint with this car on country roads. It's very fun. And you just get the sense that the car, especially in dynamic mode, wants you to push it farther and wants you to drive it harder and wants you to have fun with it. And I've said that about several cars I've reviewed, but I can't reiterate it enough. I immensely appreciate that. It adds so much more to the driving experience, and that's what sports cars are supposed to do. That's why I love it. I really love this car as a performance sports car. Now, the exterior is very gorgeous, but this interior is also just phenomenal. My favorite part is this driving area. The way the center sort of console wraps you in the driver's seat, it's very driver focused, and that's a lot of fun. It makes you feel in the zone, if you will. But it's beautiful the way they've set up. Like, all the buttons, all the switches are very nicely placed. Everything's easily accessible. You know where everything is. And even this gear stick, the click it gives you when you move it into sport or drive mode, it's awesome. They've done a superb job with the interior of this car, as well as everything else. I don't really have a bad thing to say about the interior. These seats are very nice as well. If I was going to complain about something, actually, it might be that the seats are quite firm. They don't give you a lot of flex, but they are sports seats. And speaking of firm, the ride is very... I think firm is a polite word on bumpy roads. It is not meant for an aging spine, if you get what I'm trying to say with that. Not a huge problem if you're younger and you're by it, like around probably my age or in your 30s. But an issue with that is if you're going to afford a sports car, it's probable that you're a little older. So that is a niggle. But overall, other than the ride, there's not really an issue with it that I can see that would hamper you from using it as a day-to-day car. But if you're going to use it as a day-to-day car, you do need to think about practicality, even if you are buying a sports car. Practicality is still something you should think about when you're buying a sports car. Now, with the F-Type, the convertible had a notoriously little amount of trunk space. With the Coupé, though, it's much improved. It actually has more trunk space than the Cayman S, and you can use this as a daily driver, as a GT car, drive out to the mountains, do road trips in it, and you'd be totally fine. But when you're buying a sports car, there is something you should be thinking about above all else. Now, excuse me if I'm going to get a little sappy on you for a moment, but how a car makes you feel should be, especially if you're a car enthusiast, a main factor in buying it, especially if it's going to be a sports car like this that you're going to have fun with on country roads and maybe even use as a daily driver. And this car gives you that sense of occasion that a lot of other cars just don't, with everything from the looks to that incredible soundtrack, even the nice interior, and the looks you get while driving it just deliver that amazing sense of occasion that you always feel special behind the wheel. And that is something that Jag has pulled off incredibly well with this car. And it's not matchable. The Cayman I drove on the last episode, while probably the best sports car on sale, dynamically amazing to drive, doesn't deliver that same sense of occasion. This car just has so much more theater with everything I mentioned. It's phenomenal, and I love it. I love it. And this is a car that I think that you should not go your life without driving at least once or owning. If you can own one of these cars, do it. It's, while not perfect, few cars are, this car is the sports car to own today.